Have you ever wondered how our planet came to be? What forces shaped the Earth into the vibrant, life-supporting world we live on today? In this video, we are going on a journey through time to unravel the mysteries of Earth's formation. From a cloud of cosmic dust to the blue and green planet we call home, this is the story of how Earth was born. Our story begins around 4.6 billion years ago, in a region of space far from where Earth orbits today. The Sun hadn't even formed yet, and the universe was already filled with cosmic dust and gas. This dust, a mixture of hydrogen, helium, and heavier elements, had been created by previous generations of stars that had exploded in supernovae, gigantic stellar explosions. The remnants of these ancient stars scattered their material across the universe. These heavier elements, like carbon, oxygen, and iron, are the building blocks of planets and life as we know it. At some point, gravity began to take hold of all this dust and gas. Over millions of years, this cloud, called a solar nebula, started to collapse inward. As it collapsed, it began to spin, and the center of this spinning disk grew hotter and denser. This eventually led to the birth of our Sun. But the Sun was not the only thing being formed. As the nebula spun faster, dust particles started to collide and stick together, forming larger and larger clumps of matter. These clumps eventually grew into planetesimals, the building blocks of planets. These planetesimals collided with each other, smashing together and sticking to form even larger objects called protoplanets. As these protoplanets continued to grow, they began to clear their orbits, pulling in more and more material from the surrounding nebula. Around 4.5 billion years ago, one of these protoplanets, which would later become Earth, was large enough to start holding onto its own gravity. But life on Earth was not easy back then. The planet was a chaotic place, bombarded by asteroids and comets. The surface was molten, and any solid ground was constantly being reshaped by intense heat and volcanic activity. There was intense bombardment of asteroids and comets when Earth formed about 4.54 billion years ago in a hot, molten state during the Hadean Eon. This time in Earth's history is called the Hadean Eon, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, because the planet was like a fiery, hellish realm. But even in this chaos, something extraordinary was happening. Early Earth looked like a hellish environment of volcanic activity. Life was impossible at that stage due to toxic atmosphere and absence of oceans. As the planet cooled down over millions of years, gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen began to escape from Earth's interior through volcanic activity. Over time, the water vapor in the atmosphere condensed and began to form the planet's first oceans. Now, Earth had its first oceans, but the atmosphere was still far from what we breathe today. It was thick with carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases. But this wasn't the end of the story. In fact, it was just the beginning. The next major chapter in Earth's formation happened around 3.8 billion years ago, when life first appeared. The exact origins of life are still a mystery, but scientists believe that simple life forms like bacteria began to emerge in these early oceans. Life emerged around 3.8 to 3.5 billion years ago in the Archean Eon, starting with simple single-celled microbes like bacteria and archaea. These formed microbial mats and stromatolites, layered structures from cyanobacteria trapping sediments. These tiny organisms, like cyanobacteria, began a process called photosynthesis. By converting sunlight into energy, they started producing oxygen as a byproduct, oxygen that would slowly start to fill the atmosphere over millions of years. About 2.4 billion years ago, great oxygenation event transformed the atmosphere. Photosynthesis began producing oxygen and led to mass extinction of anaerobic organisms. This gradual buildup of oxygen transformed the Earth, eventually leading to the formation of the ozone layer, which protected the planet from harmful solar radiation. This made the surface of Earth more hospitable for complex life forms, setting the stage for the evolution of plants, animals, and eventually humans. As Earth's surface cooled further, the planet's crust solidified, and the first continents began to emerge. Tectonic activity, the movement of Earth's plates, created mountains, valleys, and ocean basins. Volcanoes continued to reshape the planet, but Earth was starting to look more like the world we recognize today. For the next few billion years, Earth's surface continued to change. Continents drifted, collided, and split apart. Oceans rose and fell. The planet experienced ice ages and periods of intense warmth. But through it all, life continued to evolve, diversify, and adapt to the changing environment. And here we are today, on a planet formed by cosmic forces, shaped by volcanic activity, and enriched by the presence of life. The Earth that we call home is the product of billions of years of change, collision, and transformation. It's a planet that has experienced both chaos and calm, and through it all, it has become the cradle for the only known life in the universe. So, next time you look up at the sky or walk through the forest, remember you are living on a world that was shaped by forces beyond imagination, where molten rock once ruled, and life eventually found its way. The story of Earth is the story of time, space, and the forces that came together to make us who we are. Thanks for joining on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of our world and beyond. See you next time.